and so they're separate. They become separated at puberty, and the idea is to balance the energy and to connect it. So that's what you're thinking of. So usually when you do this and you feel the energy, you can feel tingling, you can feel warmth all the way around your body.
And it's good for them to be connected because
it it's to balance the yin and the yang. It's balance.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So the new exercise, you guys might want to sit down because I'm going to just talk a little bit. So the new exercise, I don't know if anybody got a chance to do it. Mm-hmm. I picked it because we talked about, people were saying they were having a hard time sleeping. Mm-hmm. And so it's really a great exercise to help with insomnia. And it works on 3 organs: the lungs, the heart, and the spleen. And so what I thought is, you're like, so what, you know? And so I thought I'd explain what these organs in Chinese medicine mean, and when they're weak or in excess, what can happen. So the first, and each of the organs has a certain sound. And I'm laughing because Diane, we've done these sound healings. So the lung sound is S. And in Chinese medicine, just like in Western medicine, the lungs control respiration, breathing, right? But also, what in Chinese medicine, it brings the air energy in and sends that energy to the rest of the body. So it regulates the energy or chi in the body in a way because it brings it all in. It the lungs maintain the skin and the hair. So a lot of times if there's a deficiency or dryness of the lungs tend to get dry. You notice the skin is more dry, the hair might be more brittle. The opening is the nose, that makes sense. So with allergies, we treat a lot of lung asthma. We treat a lot around the nose. The emotion for the lung is sadness and grief. That is what the lung controls, sadness and grief. And if you have a lot of sadness or grief or a lot of loss, you may notice you have more respiratory illnesses. So a lot of my patients, when they have a death or they go through a divorce or a loss of something, I'll really pay attention to their lungs and really strengthen their lungs. In 5-element theory, if you've ever heard of that it's the metal. And to really protect the lungs, these are the things you want to limit your intake of raw foods. So if you have a tendency for respiratory illnesses, you might want to limit raw foods, and then you want to eat pungent foods like ginger, garlic, cinnamon. I usually say the warmer ones, ginger, garlic, cinnamon, as opposed to mint. Mint can be very cold and damaging to the lungs. And then pears, nuts, and beans are the foods that are really nourishing for the lungs. I always tell my patients, if they have respiratory things, do not eat bananas. They're like the worst thing for the lungs. They'll cause more phlegm and more damage to the lungs. So that's the lungs, just in a nutshell, just a little bit, so you know why we're doing this. The next one in this exercise is the heart. Y'all know where the heart is. So we know that the heart pumps your blood, right? And in Chinese medicine, we do not dispute that. But we also, the big thing is that the heart houses your mind. And it's the home of your consciousness, too. And the opening is the tongue. And the color is red, and the element is fire. So the heart can become in excess, and we always talk about this heart fire flaming up. I can always tell my patients if they're not sleeping, because the first sign is that they have a really red tip to their tongue. They'll be like, how did you know I didn't sleep? But, so that's really a thing, so that's that heart fire, and because it houses the mind, we have that anxiety, the emotion, I didn't even put that down, but the emotion is joy, and kind of the reverse would be anxiety. So that if your heart's in balance, you have more joy, but not the mania thing, because that's, and, so the foods to nourish the heart are red foods, so tomatoes, peppers, and then bitter foods, like bitter greens are what I kind of am thinking of. What? Arugula, all those chards, radicchio, even kale, all those, they're all kind of have a bitter. And the sound is ha. And then the last one is the spleen, and in Western medicine we just take out the spleen, so we don't really and so it controls the blood, but it controls the blood in two ways. One is that it keeps the blood in the blood vessels. So if you've ever gone to an acupuncturist, a lot of acupuncturists say, oh, you have spleen deficiency. That seems to be a pretty common thing in our culture. And you may notice you have more bruising too if you have spleen deficiency. The other thing is that it controls our digestion. In Chinese medicine, the spleen is all about the digestion. I don't know why I didn't write that, but it was like, I guess, I don't know. And so it takes the food qi, the energy that we eat from our food, and then turns it into energy and qi in our body. So it really is a big, controls the blood, keeping it in the vessels, and also making blood too. And then it controls the muscles. So a lot of times if your muscles are achy, or you feel tired and your muscles hurt, that's a spleen issue. The opening is the mouth, and it's on the lips, so, which makes sense because when you think about when you assess the lips, you look at the color, and so if there's not enough blood, the lips may appear more pale. It houses our thoughts, so the worry, when is the big thing, worrying, thinking, overthinking, all of that's related to the spleen. When you have a weak spleen, you overthink things, you get more stuck, you can't seem to move forward. And so the foods that nourish it are, the first thing is to avoid cold foods. The spleen doesn't like things cold, so you want to have more warm foods, soups and stews, cooked foods. Usually people with a spleen deficiency will have a pale tongue, and they'll have more of a coating on their tongue. That's all about phlegm. They're more prone to joint pains. And then the vegetables are mushrooms, celery, and radishes, nourish the spleen, and brown rice, seeds, berries are the other things. And the sound for that is who. Okay? Ha and who and s. So this exercise, any questions? Questions, comments?
Interesting. Well, I'm evaluating all my organs now.
I want you to.
I'm thinking about them.
Yeah, so in our culture, really, we see most of the issue, then, we can go into a whole relationship with all these, but I'm not gonna go there today. You spent hours, and I can spend hours talking about this, but in our culture, mostly has a lot of spleen deficiency, and then the other one is liver, which we'll talk about when we do some exercises for that, but we see a lot of spleen deficiency just based on our lifestyle alone. And a lot of my patients will be like, I'm tired, I'm da. And then I'll say, well, what did you eat? And they'll be like, I ate salad, and I'm like, that's the first thing you wanna get rid of. Or if you do have like deficient spleen, I usually tell my patients, if you wanna eat a salad, that's fine, but balance it out with some soup or something cooked. we'll do this one first, cause it's kind of